Sound is an integral part of our daily lives. We hear a variety of sounds all the time. However, subtle sounds, such as a tire rolling on the pavement or a gentle breeze, often go unnoticed due to our familiarity with them, whereas extreme sounds can disrupt our routines. People continue their daily activities without fully comprehending the volume of sound they are exposed to. What if all sound disappeared forever? You would be unaware of sirens, car horns, and alarms. You wouldn't be able to detect speech or connect through conversation. Entertainment would be boring and confusing. And what about your breathing, the sound of weather, or parades, animals, festivals, and weddings? They would all have no sound. Could you imagine that? It would be terrible, right? Because now your need to hear would surpass your phone addiction. Even the beginning of life outside the womb requires sound to signal its functioning. For instance, a doctor uses a butt slap to elicit a cry from a newborn baby. Conversely, in the same hospital, a heartbeat's cessation signifies the end of life. A baby's first cry and a person's last breath are two significant examples of auditory results. In this documentary, educators who specialize in sound will inform you on the importance of capturing sound, sound editing, and sound design. Along with their expertise, you will learn tips and hear stories to help you answer the question, how important is sound in film?
What are the sounds that we are hearing in a movie? Well, first thing that's going to be most important is your dialogue. That is the story of the movie. So we can get that from the set or re-record it in the studio.
How I always approached production sound, I guess just over the 30 years I've been doing it, I feel like it's a very important part of film production. Yes, I will never argue that the picture is very important. Without it, we don't have a movie, we don't have a TV show, we don't have most of our artistic visual platform. But if you're going to have actors, if you're going to have anybody speaking, you need good production sound.
To me, location sound is all about the performance that the actors deliver, and I get the opportunity to capture it for the director. They work so hard to bring a story to an audience. I just want to be a part of capturing that story.
You can't have a film production that, or at least a visual format that has people speaking for the most part, without good production sound, location sound. Yes, you can have music. Yes, you can have sound effects. Those are usually done outside of the production sound, or sometimes they're captured there. But if you want any kind of dialogue, you want humans speaking and acting and having great performances, you need to have great production sound, or you will lose your audience, even if it's just for a moment.
We're such specialists when it comes to coming onto a set and making sure that we can thrive in an environment that might not cater to us. But at the end of the day, it's not about us. We're a part of something bigger.
For film, I think it's as important as it always has been. One thing people like to get confused about sound is how important it is because of how compared to video, how easily it can be adjusted or fixed after the fact. So during the day, when you're actually on production, that audio really does matter, but it is, in all technical terms, possible to fix it later. Where if you mess up your video, there's some tricks you can do with editing and going back and doing some additional days of re-recording. But you need to make sure that that is solid right from the beginning. Now, of course, cameras are getting better, technology is getting better, so if you miss your, just say your white balance by a little bit, you can recover that now, where before you couldn't. If you missed that, you missed it. And then a focus is still one of those things that need to be solid. But compared to audio, a lot of those things can be fixed after the fact. So production audio is usually pretty low on the list of people's mind, but audio is still important because if it's not great at the end product, it doesn't matter how amazing your project looks, it's going to be that thing that annoys audience members, even if they don't realize that's what's annoying them. So as soon as they start trying to figure out what's wrong, they're out of the story, which you lost the entire plot at that point.
But your boom op is really the person that goes out there and gets it, goes out and gets close to the talent as possible. And it's really important that the boom operator understands more than just how good the sound sounds or how close that mic gets. They really have to understand almost all parts of film production.
Okay, good. All right, I see that some of you guys are stretched out. Let's all stretch out.
We don't get a studio. We don't get a controlled environment. We have to do it on location. We have to make the best we can with what we have. But for me, personally, I think that adds to the story, because if we are, say, on a beach, or if we are by an airport, or we're on a racetrack, again, some of those locations I just mentioned are not ideal, but I won't fight them. I'll embrace them because it's supposed to be at an airport, a racetrack, or a beach.
So as far as the role of a boom operator, they're really, to me, like if you want to look at it in sports terms, they're the quarterback. You have your sound mixer, who's more of like your manager, the lead. They're a lead position. They're an important part because they decide the best parts of what sound to use, how to get it. But if you're a good boom operator and you understand lighting, and you go out there and you put your hand in front of the light and look for the light that's actually causing that shadow, you can now go to the lighting person and say, hey, you know that light that's right there up on the set? It's right there. You see that one over there next to that one? Can you flag that off for me or maybe help me out? I've really tried to find a spot in the set, but there's so many lights out there, I can't really do that. Is there a chance that maybe you can help me out? Now you've helped them with their job. You've pinpointed it for them in a sense where now that lighting person might be more willing to help you because now they can they can help them they can do their own job and figure out what they're doing and come over and help you because they know exactly the one that you need help with.
So if lighting isn't allowing me to get my mics in, if the blocking isn't, the way I might be able to mic it a little bit better per se, I think that's okay. That's okay. Because we're all there trying to make this art, and it's not always that we're in this such studio controlled environment that we'll be able to get whatever we want to get the best possible soundtrack. What I think we thrive in is we thrive in those impossible moments where we can grab that soundtrack in a setup that would not be normally conducive to sound. When I can deliver a track, that's a home run for me because I made the impossible possible.
So scratch audio is really important to us. We get the production sound straight from the production, and it's almost like a holy sort of thing. We don't want to mess with it or do anything to it, add any effects to it, anything like that. We don't process it until we know for a fact that we're ready to start doing that. So what comes first is we edit the picture. We want to make sure that the audio is in its original state. And really, before everything goes to audio post, when the editor's just figuring out where things go, how the scenes flow, We want to make sure that we can hear the dialogue and sometimes some music, and that's about it. We don't want to do any effect work to the audio straight away until we're ready to do that.
Start anything, we gotta know what we actually match. So,
Now I teach Audition and Premiere, so it's the Adobe side of it, but there are obviously really good alternatives to that. I'm not a brand loyalist, and I encourage everybody to not be a brand loyalist when it comes to any type of software. If one of them gets the job done and the other one doesn't, then that's the one you're loyal to.
The term "it is in post" means any production that has finished filming, it is now in the editorial process. The time frame for different types of projects, say a 20-minute short or a 50-minute documentary, 90-minute feature, all have obviously varying degrees of how long they're going to take. A 15-minute documentary should take you the least amount of time, whereas a 90-minute feature obviously will take you the most amount of time.
So if a movie's in post-production, that tells me that it's been shot. There's no more days on the set. There's no more pickups. There's nothing, to do with a camera anymore. There's different phases of post. We could be in video post. Being in the sound department, I don't really want to see anything until that picture is pretty much locked.
when you're editing, a good way to handle it is to treat it like a radio show. Say exactly what you want in your piece and get that down and get it to time, and then go back and complete the video. The way you bring a viewer through the piece is to split your edits. And that just means just a few frames before the cut, the audio leads them into the next scene.
For audio post, Pro Tools is definitely the best software that you can use, mainly because it is the industry standard. Most people that work in audio post use it, and there's a reason for that. And there are definitely other programs that can edit audio, but Pro Tools is what most professional post-production studios use, what most dialogue editors, sound designers, and re-recording mixers use. It is built for editing, timecode-based workflows, automation, routing, large track counts. It's very scalable, and of course, professional delivery.
If you're doing post audio for a short film and you don't have Pro Tools to do the audio, it might be easiest to do it in the software that is connected to the video editing software. So if you're working in Adobe Premiere, Adobe Audition might be the best way to do a workflow. Fairlight actually is connected with DaVinci, so that might be something that you could also do as well. The Avid S6 console is a very important tool in the audio post process. The Avid S6 is really a controller for the Pro Tools software.
It's technically not a console because no audio passes through it. It's a very fancy, expensive controller. It's very tied into Pro Tools. Every single task that you can do in Pro Tools can be accomplished hands-on on the control surface back there.
So whatever you have in your software, if you have 10 tracks that you created, you will now have 10 faders on your console.
The most basic controls and most important controls is we have the faders. So those are the kind of linear sliding things you put your hands on, you turn them up and down, that controls the volume of a given sound. Another important thing we do on the controller is panning. which is choosing where the sound is going to play. Is it going to be left, right, or in surround sound, behind us, in front of us? And then we also have hands-on controls for all of our audio plugins like EQs and compressors. It's much quicker to adjust those parameters on a set of knobs than it is to have to click your mouse one thing at a time and click around and find stuff.
Whatever you do on the console is going to get written to the software, meaning that you can take your software Pro Tools session and open it up on any number of Avid S6 consoles, and every movement that you have made, every track that you have, will all appear on that console.
Timecode is extremely important in post. It gives everyone a shared reference point and keeps sound locked to picture, which is the whole point. If someone says there's an issue at a specific timecode, the editor, the sound designer, the composer, the mixer, they all need to be able to go to that exact frame. Without timecode, collaboration becomes really, really difficult.
So the whole point of whether it's a console or a control surface, the whole idea is to speed up your workflow. You can shave, hours off of a day, so think of how much time you could save over a year or a decade, by being more hands-on with your editing and mixing.
My overall view of post audio today as compared to 25 years ago is, I think, just in the workflows that we do nowadays, has become so much easier. We can have audio and video in your session on a laptop at your house so much easier, whereas back 25 years ago you needed a tape deck, and then you had to have a full-on tower computer to be able to run your Pro Tools. So now you can have much bigger track counts, the computers are much better, so you can do it at a much smaller footprint. Things like noise reduction has completely changed the way that dialogue sounds in movies. If your dialogue doesn't sound good now, that is a real problem because there's so many tools now, you don't have to worry about that.
I feel like AI is the elephant in the room in a lot of spaces within film, but for production audio, I think it's a doozy. We can never really be sure about what it's going to do, but at least in the present, what I'm seeing is, we have all this legacy work that we know how to do. All these things like noise removal, dehumming, taking pops out, all these processes that we've been developing for years. All of a sudden, people are taking an AI tool that they don't have the recipe for, and they're saying, well, my AI tool can do the whole thing.
Well, we have to be careful. Like AI, I would say machine learning is something that's adjacent to AI that's really, that's what's made the noise reduction tools better, is those machine learning and like speech recognition algorithms. In terms of like true generative AI, it's become slightly more problematic recently. Like, for example, voice acting and ADR, and the recordists and mixers who record voice acting and ADR, I feel like are in very real jeopardy right now, because the generative voice recreation tools at our disposal are too good.
My biggest issue with this right now, in its current state, is that it doesn't give you the recipe. What I mean by that is, when I put, noise removal, anti-pop, an effect on it, an equalization, whatever effect I'm putting on there, I can adjust it, right? I put 4 of them together, I can turn this one down a little bit, this one up a little bit, right? I have control over it. With the AI thing, my biggest issue is that we don't get to see behind the curtains. It's just you press a button and boom, an effect pops up. You know, it's like on CSI where they hit, zoom and enhance. What the hell is enhance? That's not professional lingo. We don't do that. So I do have reservations for it, but obviously, we can't stand in the way of progress forever. So yeah, I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I would say that true generative AI right now is a disruptor. And I'd say it's more likely to eliminate jobs than to advance jobs. We'll see how that develops. That's the thing, the audio industry is very small. Some of these AI companies are putting billions of dollars into a product that has a very small marketplace for it. So in my opinion, I hope some of these companies go out of business when they realize that their market is so small and we can kind of return to the status quo. And then really only bring in AI tools that are helping us as opposed to eliminating our roles.
My real name is Alejandro Javier Hinso.
I'm Jeff Pendergrass.
Yeah, so my name is Alan Harris.
Sure, so my name is Felix.
My name's John Sheevy.
Hi, my name is J.R. Paredes.
My name's Jason Strawley.
Hi there, I'm Dave Camella.
Hello, my name is Anthony Simmons, and I've been at Full Sail for almost 2 years. I'm a Sound Lab specialist working here with the Bachelor of Film program. I hope you have enjoyed Acoustic Ecology and you took some type of new knowledge away of sound. Thank you, and you have a wonderful day.
Okay, this is an interesting one because I don't want to throw anyone under the bus. There's more bad stories than good. Anything that's memorable is usually bad. Okay, I'll tell a bad one that I won't name any names because it might reflect poorly on a director. So I would say one of the downsides of working in this industry is that directors can really be bad about chasing trends. Case in point would be a horror film I did a couple years ago that had a creature that needed sound design. And the original idea from the director, to me, was that they wanted this creature to be very pig-like. So using a lot of pig sounds, pig oinks and squeals and grunts and groans and stuff like that, which is a pretty common horror movie trope. A lot of creatures are designed using pig sounds. So that was the original task. And we had to do, for this particular movie, they had 3 key scenes that they wanted sound design for because they were going to use these 3 scenes to pitch to investors. Like, this is what we're capable of, let us do this over 90 minutes, sort of thing. This was the first scene I did. We came to a creature sound design that the director was happy with. And ultimately the investors were happy too because they ended up shelling out the money to actually produce the rest of the film. So everybody was happy with it. Fast forward to now we're doing the final mix on the final version of the film. And we play through that scene, and the director, the night prior, had just watched an episode of The Last of Us on HBO. And we get through the scene and we okay, what do you think? What do we need to do? Yeah, we need to scratch the creature design. I watched The Last of Us last night, and there was this really cool scene with the clickers and this history museum, and I really want the scene to be like that. Don't rip it off, but it needs to be just like that. But don't steal anything, but make it exactly like that. So basically they saw something that was very popular in pop culture at that moment, and it completely changed their mind of what they wanted that to sound like. Now, the thing that they're maybe not necessarily thinking is that it took me almost 40 hours to design the first iteration. And now they were basically asking me to just completely throw that in the trash and start over. The problem is, though, now we're in the mix. We're not editing at this point. We're mixing. We're trying to finish the movie. And here's, another 40 hours worth of work you just dumped on me because you changed your mind about what you wanted this creature to sound like. And it wasn't based on anything that happened in the movie. It was based on something they saw that they saw was doing well financially. So that kind of trend chasing is a thing that we encounter. And when we made that decision, when we were here in the room, I argued my point. For example, in The Last of Us, the clickers, they click because they don't have eyes and they have to echolocate. That makes sense. Our creature did not have that issue. So I expressed my viewpoint, and ultimately the director was like, it's my movie, and this is what I want. So I said, okay. Then I went outside and bashed in the side of my car door in a fit of rage, and then came back and said, okay, let's start over. Because at the end of the day, this is like a service industry, and you're in service to the director and the producers, especially when they're here in the room at the final stages of the mix. We can express our disagreement, but ultimately what they say goes. So that is, to me, that's a good story to tell, because it's an important takeaway that we could be the best technicians in the world and the movie could sound perfect, but it's not our movie. It's somebody else's movie, and their vision at the end of the day is always going to win out. If you, especially to be a mixer, you really have to embrace that, because as a mixer, we do work very, very closely with director, executive producer, that upper level of above the line people. So we have to be very, very careful, in terms of how we interact with them.